everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Nevessa Allen. I'm an indie author and co-blogger at The Illiterates. Today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite reads from last year, and that was Master of Salt and Bones by Kari Lake. I stumbled upon this book while writing an article for the blog where I was researching the resurgence in the popularity of Gothic romance novels. The blurb for this book gave me serious Jane Eyre vibes. So I did what any reader with a metric shit ton of literary pet peeves does. I checked the reviews on Goodreads. They were overwhelmingly positive, so I put it on the top of my TBR, and friends, it did not disappoint. Let's dive right into the review. For a book to really classify as a Gothic romance, it has to have a few of the common elements that the subgenre is best known for. Number one, it has to have a mystery. Sometimes this mystery contains some sort of supernatural element, but it isn't a prerequisite. One thing that the experts, I'm the expert, do agree on is that the mystery needs to be tinged with a little bit of horror. Number two, the backdrop should be some sort of sprawling maze-like mansion or castle. This isn't just a house, it's a character unto itself. The more rooms, the better. We want to see some dark corridors, hear some creepy floorboards squeaking, and harbor serious misgivings about whether or not this bitch is haunted. Number three, one of the main characters, traditionally this is the female lead, is usually trying to balance what they want with what society expects of them, which I think is a big reason why this subgenre is gaining popularity again. A lot of romance readers are women. We see ourselves in these female leads, and in a world where the role of women is constantly growing and evolving, we're facing a lot of the same struggles that these heroines are, though maybe we're more concerned with the work-life balance and less concerned with whether or not corsets are really necessary. Number four, another of the characters, traditionally this is the male lead, lives almost entirely outside of society. These men are all antisocial homebodies. They're typically outspoken in their disdain for other humans, can best be described as grumpy, and probably worse described as raging douche canoes. Or they have some deep, dark reason for never leaving their houses. These four unspoken rules roughly make up the backbone of most of the Gothic romances that I've read, including several queer retellings where the typical male-female dynamic of the older books is totally flipped on its head in really interesting ways. Shout out to that one multi-partner monster Gothic romance my friend Sarah recommended to me. You give the best Rex, girl. One of the reasons I loved Master of Salt and Bones was because it hit all of the themes that I just discussed and then some. Isadora, or Izzy, the female lead, hails from a small fishing village on a made-up island off the Massachusetts coast, much like Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket. Thanks to her lineage, she's something of a pariah, and Lord, did I relate to her. Some backstory. I'm originally from Cape Cod. My family has sailed the rough seas surrounding it since we landed there with the Mayflower. We are a blood-of-the-earth kind of people, and we have salt water flowing through our veins. Very rarely do I read books set where I'm from because so often authors fail to get it right. Kari Lake actually got it right. She managed to perfectly depict the small town mentality that still exists there, the apathy we have for the throngs of tourists that descend on us every summer, paired with our begrudging need for them to prop up what would otherwise be a dying economy. She captured the gossip too, and the fact that the hatred for some families goes back generations, and there's nothing that the current one can do to break free from the curse of their forefathers. I understand this well. My family is made up entirely of fishermen and criminals. There's mention of us in books going as far back as the 1600s. And the quote from that one goes something like, "There are two blank families on Cape Cod. One is spelt with an E and they are horse thieves," which is like the worst thing you could be back then, except for the book then goes on to say, the ones spelled with an I are worse than that. As you might have guessed by now, I am from the I family. Not much has changed in my clan since that book was published. So yeah, to say that I'm impressed with how well Kari Lake captured what it was like for me growing up in that place is a bit of an understatement. But this isn't about me. It's about the book. If Izzy is a pariah, then Lucian, our male lead, is nothing short of the specter that haunts the entire island. He's the ghost story that kids tell each other. People cringe at the very mention of his name. The driveway to his house, a castle said to be built on the bones of his family's enemies, is lined with crosses to ward against his evil. One of the things that I loved about this book is that Lucian's reputation is well earned. It's not one of those romances where you're led to believe that the male lead is some big, bad, evil guy, and then you meet him and you find out that he's secretly a cinnamon roll. Lucian is not a stand-up guy, and you should be prepared for that going in. This book is dark with a capital D. There are some themes here that a lot of readers will struggle with. Trigger warnings for sexual assault, abuse, violence, suicide, institutionalization, breath play, knife play, animal cruelty, murder, hallucinations, panic attacks, mental health issues, and probably several others I just can't remember right now because I'm running out of breath. On a more positive note, everything that happens between Lucian and Izzy is consensual. He's not the typical abusive asshole you find in a lot of these dark romances. Consent matters to him, and while he's openly enamored with the idea of forcing Izzy, it's only the fantasy that he's attracted to. He would never pursue it without her agreement. Actual rape is horrifying to him. So while I loved this book, I hesitate to rush out and recommend it to everybody I've ever met like I would with any other 5-star read. But if you might be okay with the triggers that I mentioned and you're still interested, you have one hell of a book to look forward to, and you're basically who I'm making this video for. I follow a lot of other booktubers on here, and I see a lot of the same books mentioned over and over again. And really, I mean, that's not surprising. If somebody you follow and you share the same tastes with recommends a book, you're probably going to want to pick that book up and try it and then end up discussing it, and we end up in this pattern. One of the goals with both our blog and this channel is that we want to make sure that we are highlighting books, both older and newer, that might have slipped beneath your radar. Books like Master of Salt and Bones. Just one more thing about the romance aspect of this book. On a steaminess scale, it's like a solid 10 out of 10, so maybe don't read it in public. Aside from the relationship development, there are several overlapping plots in this, each one a mystery unto itself. But the main one is Lucian. That's right, this author managed to make the male lead into such an enigma that I spent 3/4 of this book voraciously consuming his backstory, and still I want more. What drives someone with such dark desires? How did he become the person that he is today? Is he really as mad as everyone says he is? And if he is, how the hell can he and Izzy ever be happy together? Especially when Izzy might not be the innocent 19-year-old I first believed her to be. I don't want to really get into any more specifics than I already have because there are a lot of spoilers that I might veer too close to, and really this is a book that should be read to be appreciated. I do have one regret about Izzy's character, and it's that she didn't have as much progression as I would have liked to see. Actually, scratch that. I mean, she had a lot of growth overall. What I'm really trying to say here is that she didn't embrace part of herself as much as I would have liked her to, because if she had, my God, Dark Phoenix Rising. So maybe that says more about me than anything else. I am, after all, from that Cape Cod family that's somehow worse than horse thieves. Not salty. Not salty at all about that comment from the 1600s. Douchebag. Was this book absolutely perfect? I mean, no book is, but it came pretty close for me. I had 1 or 2 issues towards the end, and I briefly considered dropping my rating to 4 stars because of them, but I couldn't do that because ultimately I fucking loved this book. And I know I'll end up rereading it whenever I'm in the mood for something deliciously dark. If you're interested in reading this book or other Gothic romances, I'll put a link below in the description to the full article that's on our blog, and you can check out all the books that I listed there. So that's it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, or consider supporting us on Patreon. Bye. And don't rub your eye, because you got mascara on, girl. I need to stop with the my fucking phone. No. Don't start with your mouth open, it's weird. Shouldn't take those gummies, getting dry mouth.
I'm gonna make a sandwich. Do you want one?
No, I don't want a sandwich, thank you. I'm in the middle of filming.
Recording right now?
Yes.
That's fun.
This is not making the blooper reel.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.